what is up? We are back for another recipe video, and today we have something extra special. Sam has figured out how to make a dairy and allergen friendly pizza crust. So we are making today...
We're making pizza.
We're making pizza, guys.
It's also macro friendly.
It's macro friendly. What are the
macro
macros?
And allergen friendly. Well, it's going to depend a lot on the toppings you end up putting on it, but the couple different ones that I made a vegan veggie pizza, and then I made a turkey pepperoni pizza. They're both roughly 500 calories, give or take, 50 grams of carbs, 15 grams of fat, and 30 grams of protein.
All right, this is gonna be awesome. So without further ado, let's get to it.
All right, so I've been playing more with rising doughs after Courtney's failed science experiment a couple months ago. So we're getting better at this, but what we're gonna start with is 3/4 cup of warm water. So this is like 110 to 125 degrees. Doesn't have to be exact. You just want it a little bit warmer because it's gonna help activate the yeast. So I'm using rapid rise yeast in here. I'm gonna add that to the warm water along with a tablespoon of Truvia. You can use real sugar also, but for like macro purposes, I use the Truvia, and actually it has the same effect in helping activate the yeast.
Precisely.
Being a scientist. Courtney.
Yes. My contribution here was failing at these things.
But since then, we have got better at it.
Definitely.
Definitely got better at it.
And just so you guys know, I'm gonna take a view of this here. She's mixing these things in the actual measuring cup.
Next, you're gonna whisk that together a little bit, and we're just gonna set that aside while I mix the dry ingredients here.
Always do dry ingredients first.
So we're gonna let this sit for about 5 minutes, and you guys, when this starts to activate, when the yeast starts to activate, you'll actually see it bubble a little bit in the water, and that's when it's ready to add to the rest of the mixture. So, all right, so while that's sitting, we're going to use, so for this recipe, I used Bob's REDMILL gluten-free flour. It does, I messed around with a couple different flours. I used coconut, almond, both are really hard consistency purposes for what we're trying to accomplish here. This one actually tastes like real pizza dough. So just so you know, I failed at this 4 times before I came up with this recipe.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta fail before it works out, guys. That's okay.
Most times you don't get it right on the first. Sometimes I get really lucky. Like when we did the biscuits and gravy, I got real lucky on that one. But this one was definitely more trial and error. So
yeah, and usually with the low-calorie recipes, you're gonna fail a couple times, but that's why we are posting these videos, because we're failing for you, and then you automatically get the good recipe.
And we're actually formatting our cookbook, so that's gonna be out hopefully here this summer. So we're gonna do 2 cups of this flour.
Oh, it's okay.
You gotta make a little bit of a mess. It's part of the process. Because we're scientists. Science. All right, so we're gonna add into this a teaspoon of salt.
We didn't have to bring salt and pepper.
This is your salt and pepper.
Oh, good.
I figured you'd have salt and pepper at least. Actually, no, because I think we bought it for Thanksgiving when we did the Thanksgiving haul. So 1 teaspoon of salt here. No pepper in this one.
Oh.
No, we're gonna use that for the biscuits and gravy though. Ooh, look, it's starting to, you see what it's doing right there? Yeah, see how it's starting to foam and bubble? That is your yeast activating. So while we're doing this, we set Courtney's oven to proof setting. What we're creating is a proof box to help the dough rise faster, so we don't have to leave it sitting out on the counter for an hour to let the dough rise. So for time conservation purposes, I'll go over that a little bit more, but it's pretty easy. So now I'm adding a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar.
What if you don't have a proof setting?
You set it to it's just your oven's lowest setting. It's the lowest temperature. Like on my oven, it's 170 degrees. I think most ovens, it's roughly 175 to 200 degrees, which is fine. You want it to be warm, just not so hot that it's actually going to bake the dough. It's just going to help it rise. So we'll do a video of that in a second when it's finished preheating. I don't have a presetting because I got an old ass oven.
Not for long.
Not for long. All right, so there are a couple different ways we can do this. If you're doing a vegan option, obviously we're not doing egg whites. For this one that we're making today, we're going to use 2 tablespoons of egg whites. But if you're making a vegan pizza for our animal-friendly friends, you would make a flax egg, which is just, I believe it's 2 tablespoons of water and a tablespoon of flax, and it'll have the same consistency as the egg whites. So it helps us accomplish the same thing. So for this recipe though, we're using just 2 tablespoons of egg whites. You could also use 1 whole egg, but again, because we're macro friendly, this is just a little bit lower in the fats, especially because we're going to use a tablespoon of olive oil. So by doing egg whites instead of a whole egg, we're actually cutting the fats in this dough recipe down by 50%. So instead of being 30 grams of fat, it'll be 14. Now whisking these together. Smells like apple cider vinegar.
Yummy.
It's good for your guts. All right, so now that the yeast has activated in the water here, we're going to add it into the dry mix it all together. Now this is gonna form a pretty, it happens pretty quickly here. It's a little bit easier with an electric hand mixer. We're still getting her up to date on things.
I think we mentioned this before. I like to be extra anabolic. You see Sam's biceps working right now, you guys?
You see my forearms.
This is raw gains mixing this pizza.
That is true. Burning extra calories while we're cooking today. And grab a knife.
Yeah, it's like the brick oven pizza, how some people cook it over a fire because it's old-fashioned, you know. We're beating our dough with our own 2 hands, guys. Well, since we're making a pizza crust from scratch and we're basically pilgrims anyway, let's just go.
We are pilgrims.
Let's go for it.
Although, when I made this at home, I did use my electric hand mixer. But I'm still behind the times because you can use the really cool standing mixers and not even have to touch the dough. Just set it to your setting. I'm not that fancy yet.
We'll get there.
When I buy my own kitchen. Well, when I buy my own house, but for kitchen purposes. All right, so now our dough is mixed. You see we've got a nice ball of dough there. This is actually gonna make 2 pizzas that are about 10 inches. So I used a pie pan because I don't have a pizza pan currently. But right now we're gonna set up the proof box. So this is just a shallow dish of water that I'm gonna put on the bottom shelf of the oven that we preheat to that super low setting. Now we'll put the dough in a pan on top of it. And we're gonna put this in the oven for about 10 minutes to let it rise. So, easy day. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes and our dough is rising. Gonna take this out. We'll separate this and put toppings on it. And while we're doing that, we're going to turn up the heat in this oven to 450 degrees.
Should we convection bake it?
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that dough.
All right, so like I said, I didn't have a pizza pan. These actually worked out really well. So I'm gonna grease both of these. We're going to just cut this dough in half. 1/2 for each side. 2 pizzas. Then I'm gonna use my spatula. I'm gonna spray the top of the dough with cooking spray also so it doesn't stick to the spatula. And we're going to just work this out into the pan. All right, so now we're going to toss the pizzas. I'm gonna put a little bit more butter spray on them. And we're going to use, it's one of my favorites, the pizza Parmesan from FEASTMODE. All right. Now that the oven is heated up to 450 degrees, we're actually gonna bake these for 8 minutes, excuse me, before we put toppings on them, so the toppings don't burn. It's not burning yet. Alrighty, so now that we have these dusted with the pizza Parmesan and spray, we're gonna put them in the oven at 450 degrees, and these we're gonna do on the bottom shelf as well, just for 8 to 10 minutes. Boom. Now we have 2 pizza crusts, and we're gonna put some toppings on these. I'm gonna make a couple.
Really good. We're topping them over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Over here we go.
All right. So a couple different ways that I've done this. I did pull everything together to make like the vegan pizza. And the cheese that I use all the time on all of these because of my food sensitivities. Also because they're more macro friendly. I use vegan cheeses that are pretty easy to find now. Like you don't even have to go to Sprouts or Whole Foods to find these anymore. You can find them at Walmart, Kroger, just about anywhere. So I do a couple different ones. We've also got a no sugar added pasta sauce. I think that actually the Prego, Odin over here.
He dropped his ball in his food. It's okay.
It's okay. The Prego version of this sauce is a little bit more macro friendly, but this is super low in carbs. So we don't need that much either. I think the serving size is 1/2 cup. We're gonna use about 1/4 cup. All right. So now for our toppings. Another thing with the vegan cheeses actually melt very well now. So you don't need that much. And if you use too much, just like any other cheese, it's gonna get like soggy, which we want to stay away from. So we're just gonna do about a tablespoon. For the veggie pizza, I'm gonna do a tablespoon of the mozzarella. I know that doesn't look like much, but it does expand quite a bit. And we're also gonna do a tablespoon of vegan feta on that one. And you guys, I know that everybody gives like the vegan cheeses a hard time, but they're like actually pretty solid. Even teenager approved. Daughter gets the final say on these recipes because I think she's probably closest to remembering what American food tastes like.
Yes.
All right, so again, like you can be creative with your toppings. This one I did like a veggie. The one with the feta, we'll do veggie here with banana peppers, kind of sprinkled around on there. I did Kalamata olives. So you know from the Greek omelet recipe that the Kalamata olives are a little bit higher in fats if you use too much, but because they are super flavorful, you don't need a lot. So I think a serving size is a tablespoon, and I use probably half of that on this pizza. I also put some artichoke hearts.
That looks amazing. Artichoke hearts aren't something that I just ever have around.
Yeah. I do like them in salads and things. Plus, they're fun to cook with. So, there's our veggie pizza.
Boom.
Easy day. Now this one, I did get turkey pepperoni, which you can also find in the deli section of your grocery store, which have way better macros. And we'll use, again, the vegan mozzarella on this one, kind of sprinkle it around. And I did about a tablespoon and a half of the mozzarella on this one since we're not going to use any feta. And then I quartered 6 slices of pepperoni. Oh, that's artichoke. Now I'll put these back in the oven, again for about 8 to 10 minutes, just until the dough or the crust starts to get a little bit crispy. Alrighty, our pizzas are ready.
Okay. Oh snap. Oh snap. These are looking fresh to death. Okay.
And rolling?
Yeah. And choose it? Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. Wow, that actually is like real pizza. Yeah.
Yeah?
That's mind-blowing. This is definitely a 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10?
10 out of 10?
10 out of 10.
Teenager?
Yes.
Alright, for you guys that haven't met her yet, this is my daughter, Aubrey.
Hi.